What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you like what you see, if you haven't been here before, please hit that subscribe button and notification button for more updates. I make movie reviews, my take on films from what I've watched, as well as independent short films that I create, I write, I film them, I star in them with, other actors, friends, people that I met through other friends, and just, I like creating, and if that's your thing and you like to support, this is the channel to be. I have so many other short films that I've created other than the two that I did this year, Celestial Echoes, Tears of the Stars, and Celestial Echoes, Dread of Twilight. Please check those two films out. I'm trying to make a little franchise out of them. I'm working on the next film right now as far as writing the script following Celestial Echoes, Tears of the Stars. Dread of Twilight is the spin-off, but it'll continue after Tears of the Stars, this new film that I'm hoping to get done. But of course, I've done other short films throughout the year, so please check those out. Your support means a lot. And let's get straight to it. This is my Thunderbolts, or should I call it the New Avengers movie review. And I really enjoyed this film a lot. Now, after Endgame, I haven't really cared much about the Marvel films, the MCU films. It's been a hit and miss. It hasn't been like before Endgame where a lot of the films are really good. But, for me, I'm not fatigued with Marvel films or superhero films in general. I am excited about Fantastic Four. That's the next film that's coming out. So that might be, up on the list from what I'm assuming. It looks really good and I'm just excited for that. But I know it's been a miss for a lot of people, but I really enjoyed the Marvel films. I like where it's going. We're getting new characters, even the TV shows, and we're just getting these new characters and they're bringing them in. Obviously rights are back to Marvel/Disney. They're getting these, they got the characters back with Daredevil, Punisher, and Blade, which that apparently hasn't been happening, which was supposed to. So, they make a lot of decisions and they're saying this is going to happen and then ends up not happening. I hope in the future they stop doing that until they got something solid, then announce these projects, stop going ahead, because then you get hype or we get hype and then nothing happens and it's a bummer. But yeah, let's get straight to it. Thunderbolts / the New Avengers, and it was fun. It was different. It was very heartfelt. I mean, it had that heartfelt like it was with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But in this regard, you really felt the characters and their low points and what they're struggling with. They're outcasts. They're looked at as bad people, and it really, these cast of characters, they gelled well together. They worked well together. And even though they didn't really have powers other than, super soldier serums for the most part, John Walker, Red Guardian, Bucky, pretty much like they're like Captain America, maybe lesser versions of him as far as, strength and feet. But they're each in their own regard strong, and, they use guns, which, for the most part, that whole squad uses guns. And they're not like the original Avengers where they had their own differences, lightning powers or strength, or of course, weapons. But these were all pretty much strength or just weapons. You had Ghost, who does phase in and out, so that's a little bit of a change. And then you have Yelena, who she doesn't have any strength abilities like that, upgrades, but she just has her wits and her skills, and she's an amazing character. I love Florence Pugh. I think she's awesome, and she really brought this role. I mean, since she was first showcased in Black Widow and then Hawkeye, like she just keeps coming back and just bringing some newness to this character, and I really enjoy her a lot. I think she's a great, presence on screen, as a character, but also as just the actress herself. Florence Pugh is amazing. She has it. I like her work, and just, her along with, her relationship with Red Guardian, David Harbour, who was the amazing actor for Red Guardian. I thought he does a great job. I've only seen him in Stranger Things, but I liked him in Stranger Things, and I see him in here. He's like a different character, and I think they both work well together. John Walker, Wyatt Russell is a good actor. I love his father's work. Kurt Russell, I didn't like his character in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I understood his character, and you weren't supposed to like him. But in this film, you like him, like he's redeemed. And he was a cool character. I really enjoyed him in this film and with the cast and how he worked with them. And you had Ghost, Hannah, I forget the rest of her name. She was in Ant-Man 2. She has more to do here, more to say in this film. And I would say she was probably the least enjoyable character, and that's just in terms of just her role. I wouldn't even bring up Olga Kurylenko or Taskmaster because she barely was in the film. She died early on in the film. Even though that's not my Taskmaster that I know in the comics, even though I wasn't bothered by what they did in Black Widow with her being Taskmaster, but them killing her off early, I wish it would have been later. I wish it would have done more, but it didn't bother me because that's not the Taskmaster that I'm aware of. So it was like, whatever. And then you have Sentry, Bob, the Void, who's a complex character, drug addict, mental illness in this film, and I thought they did that very well. They portrayed the Void as I believe in the comics he's a different entity that apparently latches on to Bob's, aka Robert, and who becomes Sentry. I guess they're like three different personalities. I don't know how. I think that's how they portrayed it in the film. I don't remember in the comics. I thought it might be the same in the comics, but the only difference is that I don't know if the Void is just his. It's just something that the mental, it just activated with the serum, and it just did something, or it's coming from somewhere. I believe in the comics, the Void comes from somewhere and latched onto him. So I don't know necessarily what they're doing with that, but from what it looked like, it's not a separate entity. It's just activated from the serum, and he's struggling with his mind, and he's just split personality or whatever. So, which if they don't go with the whole entity thing, personally I liked what they did, so it doesn't bother me. But I enjoyed Lewis Pullman. That's his name. He played Sentry Bob the Void. If you don't know who Lewis Pullman is, if he looked familiar to you, he is Bill Pullman's son. Who's Bill Pullman? He was in Independence Day. He was the president, and he was also in Spaceballs, Lone Star, the main actor, Lone Star. So that's why I feel like he looks familiar. He kind of resembles his dad when he was younger. But other than that, the cast was great. I would have liked a little bit more, I guess. I mean, the action was there, but there was probably, when it came to Sentry, I would have liked a little bit, I don't know, it looked a little fake, his movements. I felt like there were maybe just a few sets. There wasn't much happening within the sets. You had Julia Louis-Dreyfus, if I'm saying her name right, who played Valentina. I don't like characters like her. I feel like it's just too common. I would have wanted a little bit more backstory from her, especially when the Void touches her and he sees her when she's young and her father gets killed. I don't know. I think it's both her parents, but I know really her pops gets killed. I would have liked more backstory because now it felt like, oh, she is the way she is because of this thing that happened. But if you know from the comics, she's like a triple agent or something, so there's more to her. And I wish they would have kind of showed that with the character. Other than that, I would have liked more sets. I felt like there was just a handful of sets. We were in the desert. And first they were in that base thing, then they were in the desert, then New York, and I guess I would have wanted more like travel, but that's just me being picky and wanting more. I liked what I saw, and I have to get used to the characters kind of being similar. Like I was saying, the super soldiers, for the most part, they're not as entertaining of characters like Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, that they each have their own differences and flying around, and they're more of a spectacle. Here, they're a little bit more grounded, and for being the new Avengers, I wouldn't say they're better than the old Avengers, but what works with the new Avengers is just their interaction with each other. And it's not to say that the old Avengers didn't have a great banter and interaction with each other, but I really think the strong point is that the new Avengers have good chemistry with each other, and you want to see them succeed. You want to see them, grow. And Sentry, now that he's with them, he's kind of has to just be Bob. He can't be the Sentry, really, because if he's the Sentry, that means the Void is going to come out. So I think that's a bit of a complex character issue there that they can explore in any future films if he's going to be in it. I'm assuming Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, that they can kind of try to explore because he's a strong character, a powerful character. But if he can't just be this powerful character, which I think is great because it limits him to being just like Superman, who is just strong and he pretty much is going to win at the end of the day. Now, whether you think Sentry is stronger than Superman or Superman is stronger than Sentry, Sentry is pretty much the Superman of the Marvel universe. But whether you think one beats the other, that's just, here or there. Apparently, from what I know, from what I've read, Sentry is, I guess he's stronger than Superman, but then, I don't know, people say different things. I really can't say I choose either or. But that's neither here or there. That's not what we're here to talk about. But he's a very powerful character, Sentry, apparently. So hopefully when watching the film, if you haven't seen it and you're here spoiling yourself, you will be able to see that. And if you've seen the film and you are unsure to see that powerful, I mean, look what he did as the Void. He was able to just, put people into this void, like just make it disperse. Or when he was fighting the new Avengers, even though they weren't like Thor with powers or whatever, he was able to just kind of, do things at ease. So imagine if he can do it to them, what he can do with people with power. Now, again, it depends on how the MCU wants to limit him or what he does, because I know in the comics, I believe, again, just to go to that, I think Thor eventually kills Sentry in one of the comic lines. But again, it's just based on how they want to handle the character, and they always changing things up in comics anyway. There's more than one like universe or one line of story. So other than that, I thought the film was a fantastic time. It was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I think the heart of the film is the character interactions. If you haven't seen The Falcon and Winter Soldier, you would fall in love with John Walker. But if you've seen The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and you haven't seen this film yet, and you didn't really care for him then, you would care for him now. At least that's how I felt. I didn't care for him then, but I do care for him now. I thought he was a cool character to explore that, inner struggle and the loss that he feels, and that he's just lost everything. So, but Yelena, she's a great character, and maybe I'm biased because I like Florence Pugh, but she just does a great job as Yelena anyway, and I have so much fun with her. And again, Red Guardian, I'm glad he's alive. He's fun. He's a fun addition to the franchise. With Black Widow, I liked him in that, and I was hoping that he had more to do. So to see him in Thunderbolts and to see that he survived in Thunderbolts, that's cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got for Thunderbolts / The New Avengers. I'm excited for Fantastic Four. And until next time, later.